This is, it's good to see you guys again. And this is a day I've been looking forward to for about 2.5 years. It was 2.5 years ago, the great COVID monetary expansion began, and the Federal Reserve started to inflate the supply of the US dollar faster than they ever had before. It was 2.5 years ago when the White House issued an official statement on inflation for the months and the years that were ahead. Also 2.5 years ago, there was a really small town in El Salvador that was running on a full circular Bitcoin economy and inspiring themselves and inspiring their country. And it was also 2.5 years ago when I went and visited those people, and I got to experience it. It was my first time in Central America, and it was my first time personally in the global South. And it was 2 years ago, I was on this stage, actually, this exact same stage, in this exact same spot. And it was 2 years ago when a country found hope and found freedom and found a future that they believed in, and they took a stand and told the world that they were going to fight for something. And they didn't say that they were right, and they didn't know if they were wrong, but they put their foot in the ground 2 years ago. And within the last 2 years, despite a lot of harm that's been done to derail a lot of that hope and a lot of that future that seemed to inspire billions of people in the world, this room and this industry and this community kept building. And the open network got bigger and stronger and better. And grassroots adoption of Bitcoin in the global South kept organically growing. And now, the Federal Reserve has hiked rates faster than they ever had before. They've made history in the mismanagement of the monetary policy. 2022 was the biggest year for gold allocation from central banks around the world. And the dollar has never been held less. Dollar-based assets have never been held less by central banks around the world. And it's not being replaced by other currencies. Gold is back. And we're living in a very scary time. And the result of this has crushed emerging markets, and this has crushed the global South. And there are places around the world and real people around the world that are living through a tremendous amount of hyperinflation in very difficult times. And the Federal Reserve ran our own banks insolvent. And all of this crypto promise is now dying in the United States of America. But despite all of that, we kept going, and more people found hope in Bitcoin. And more people joined the Open Lightning Network. And small countries are changing their narrative and their quality of life. So I've been waiting for this day for 2.5 years. This picture here, I showed in my presentation 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And it's become a bit of a famous photo because it's kind of hilarious. The context of the picture, actually, 2 years ago, this was right after a meeting I had in El Salvador. It was before any announcement, it was before any decision. It was just Bitcoiners meeting to talk about Bitcoin and hope. And I got out of the meeting, and I took this photo. And I don't know if I've ever publicly mentioned this, but I filmed my entire trip in El Salvador. I have days and days and days of footage. Before any of this happened, before nation state adoption, I felt the magic when I was down there, and I have so much footage. And as I was preparing this presentation, actually, I was laying in bed in my Airbnb in Miami, and I was just looking through the footage, and I really have been waiting for this day for 2.5 years. And I was just putting myself back to where I was. I was a 25-year-old kid in El Salvador. And there was a clip that was filmed right after this picture was taken. This guy was security. He was walking me to the car. And as soon as I got in the car, the camera lady asked me how the meeting went. And I've never shared any of the footage before. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe someday there'll be a documentary. But I took this clip, and this is what I told her.
But like, just the better half of humanity. Also, like what this is going to do for the world is going to be like the most beautiful thing ever. So that's how it went.
Did you guys hear that? And so this was never about the price these last 2.5 years. I couldn't really hear it up here. Could you guys hear it? Oh. What do you guys want me to do? One sec, it's okay. We're all human, it's okay. I can see them, they're working on it, you guys can't see them. We'll give them a sec. I said that it was a beautiful meeting. It's very authentic footage. I want you guys to see it, but if we can't see it, it's okay.
But like, just the better half of humanity. Also, like what this is going to do for the world is going to be like the most beautiful thing ever. So that's how it went.
I'm sorry about that. So that's how it went. And I just thought it was so real, it was so authentic, and this was never about the price these last 2.5 years. It was always about hope. Before any announcement, before any of this stuff, I felt it in those meetings, I felt it in that country. It was about freedom, it was about inclusion, it was about equality, it was about access, and it was about freedom and justice for all. It always has been and it always will be. And we talked about a lot in those meetings. We obviously talked about the country's interest in making Bitcoin legal tender, but that wasn't just the ambition. There's a lot that the Global South wants to do with Bitcoin. And for us as a company, and I know a lot of you guys in this room have been very frustrated because this is where we're operative right now, Strike, and this has never been enough. And I used to talk to them 2.5 years ago about how we can deliver financial products to the Global South in a very honest, equitable, Bitcoin-only way. And so it was never enough. And I've been working with Salvadoran regulators, with the Bitcoin office there, and they've been building a framework and a licensing structure for Bitcoin companies that want to serve billions of people and want to take it further than just a country and legal tender and actually give people more hope despite the Sam Bankman-Frieds, despite the Federal Reserve, spread the Lightning Network and Bitcoin further and farther than ever. And the country's been to their word, and it was awesome to work with them, and we were so lucky. I don't know if you guys can see at the bottom, I own an entity called E4, so I was able to sneak it by the media. I didn't call it Strike, I called it my favorite chess move. But we got New York Times, and not smart enough to catch that one. And we recently got our license. And do you guys see that orange speck there? Hope, someone said. the little country that could. That's E4. That's our license. And that's our headquarters for what is now officially, as of this morning, Strike going global and global expansion. So Strike is available to 3 billion people. It's awesome. It's really amazing, and if you look at this map, it's a lot of the global south, Central America, South America, lots of Africa, India's in there. We're so proud of it, and it's been 2.5 years in the making, and the global south has a lot to do with Bitcoin. They have a lot to say for where the world is going, and we're living in a country right now where the SEC is fighting with Brian Armstrong, and we're going global, headquartered out of El Salvador. It's really fucking awesome, man. It's really a beautiful thing. So this is live. It was live this morning. Not too many people noticed, but it's live now. These are the ones that I could fit into this slide. There's many, many more. So 3 billion people can now download Strike today, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So I'm not done, though. This is the first keynote I've given where the announcement is within the first 10 minutes. When we thought about a global money app as a company, and we thought about what it meant to serve billions of people, we had to change. We had to change a lot. I love this quote. It's an artist I love. I have to change to stay the same. And as we were getting our license approved and headquartered out of El Salvador, which, by the way, I hope every Bitcoin company goes and does. I know Fold is going down there. I know Swan is going down there. This is not a Strike-only thing. I encourage this entire industry. If you want to serve moral, equitable, honest, hopeful products to the global south, you should go down to El Salvador and get a headquarters. They're happy to support your products. It's awesome. So we had to change to say the same. What Strike represents, what we want to do. We want to serve billions of people. We looked ourselves in the mirror, and we needed to be a lot different. So I'm going to go through not only the fact that we're available to 3 billion people right now, but we change a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. I mean every font, every single pixel. We took a look in the mirror, and we needed to be more punk. You know, punk isn't a music genre. Punk isn't a color. Punk is an energy. Punk is an attitude. We needed to be more unconventional. We needed to test the boundaries, test the limits. I wear hoodies on TV. I curse a lot. I push the world. We needed to build beautiful products. When I travel through the global south, the most beautiful app they have is Instagram. Their Bank America app is trash. Their Western Union app is garbage. And we wanted to build something beautiful, that it's not pretty in the beast, it's beauty in the beast. There's a depth to beauty. There's an attention to detail that the word beauty carries. We needed to be Bitcoin. It's who we are, and it's why we're all here. And we needed to embrace openness and open networks. And that doesn't just mean Bitcoin, the internet, and Nostr. It's the Statue of Liberty. It's Aaron Schwartz. It's all that that encompasses and all that carries. So we took our logo and we changed it. And we put some graphics. We electrified this motherfucker. We're ready to fuck some shit up. Yeah. And we took our typography that I picked in my room, Cosmic Sands looking typography, and we changed it, and we made it stand for something. It's clean, it's beautiful, but it's punk, and it's all caps because we're here and we're not afraid of who we are. And we took our website and we gave it a purpose and a meaning. And you know, really, we took inspiration from everyone around us. It was a beautiful exercise to go through what a global money app really means to the world, right? Chase can't serve 3 billion people. Venmo can't serve 3 billion people. And we internalized that. And we used it to inspire us. And we used it to drive change. And we really dared ourselves to not be afraid to fight for who we are and what's right. Because everything that we all make takes up space and takes up noise and requires attention. And we really asked ourselves, like, what do we want people to know? What do we want people to be inspired by? And what do we want people to feel? I even actually, can the camera catch this? I even actually made my own hoodies now. The Fed tried to kill me. Not today, Jerome, not today, not today. Stack sats. You want to see the hoodie? So we got new markets, 3 billion more people. We take our brand and what we stand for and what we fight for, and we hope Bitcoin's proud of us. And we want to push the limits. And now, look at this little fella. He's going to go take us and show us around the product. We made a lot of product changes to support what we hope to become an amazing global money app. So when we took a look at how do I service 3 billion people, what do these people use today? Who lives in the global south? What are the challenges that they have? How do they need to be inspired? This is actually what they're accustomed to. On the bottom left is Binance. This is what they see when they go try and buy assets on Binance. It's a lot of trading screens, it's limit orders, it's leverage. Obviously FTX, a lot of people in Africa lost a lot of money to that fucking scumbag. And Coinbase, they're really enticing and soliciting speculative gambling. The slide isn't blown up, but it says you can get $200 to get started buying Oh My God coin. And so we thought it was really, really important that we were not an exchange, is that we're a money app. So this is the new Strike app. This is live. Everyone can update their Strike app, and all 3 billion people can now download it. And we made sure that it was a money app, and it wasn't an exchange. We wanted it to feel like a wallet. And so we start there. It was really important to the global south that we gave cash and Bitcoin balances. So people aren't comfortable with Bitcoin's volatility in the global south, but they're attracted to access to a deflationary instrument that they can save in. So if you click this little white button on the new Strike app, it'll pop up and it'll give you your Bitcoin and your cash balance. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And so if people need to hold and store in US cash, they can. If Bitcoin's too volatile, and the money that they want to save, they could put away in Bitcoin. Look at that, isn't that cool? It looks beautiful, doesn't it? It's awesome. Yeah. Now, everyone can buy and sell Bitcoin. This is obviously very important, is that if people need more cash and Bitcoin's too volatile, they could do it. If people want to buy more Bitcoin and stack more sats, they can do it. And we needed to make it as accessible as possible, so we offer as little as a penny. P2P, cash and Bitcoin. We've gotten a lot of customer requests in the US, and then obviously in the global south, that people want to be able to send P2P cash and Bitcoin. So now, as a Strike user, you can P2P dollars from America to El Salvador, to Nigeria, to Ghana, to Guatemala, to India, and then someone can stack some sats. That's fucking awesome. It's amazing. And when we took a look at the payments experience, what we realized, this is me zapping someone on Nostr, we let you make Lightning payments with your cash or your Bitcoin. I know that this is a widely talked about topic of discussion. And so this is really cool, is when I go to make a Lightning payment, the app actually is kind enough and generous enough to ask me and say, hey, Jack, do you want to make this payment with your cash or your Bitcoin? Look at that. And I can decide on the spot, on every Lightning invoice if I want, of course I can default it, but I get to decide, I actually would like to spend my cash and save my sats, or I want to support a circular economy and spend my Bitcoin. And to 3 billion people, this is very, very important, is that Strike gives you the functionality to actually save in Bitcoin, use cash over Lightning, use this open monetary network, and as many people, serving 3 billion people is going to be hard. This was super important. And then we also allow people to receive in whichever one they want. So you can go in your settings, you can set your default settings. So I want to receive all payments to me in cash, or I want to receive all payments to me in Bitcoin. And then lastly, I know this has been very hard on me on Twitter, and I'm sorry for being late, but Strike now supports Lightning address. So we support Lightning address, we support NIP5, and so now every single Strike user and the billions that come It's live right now, so even if you're a US user, it's live, and you can go to your username at strike.me and we support Lightning Address. And so this is a really fucking cool product. We're delivering a cash balance that the Global South can rely on amidst times of volatility, and we're giving an awesome, beautiful, punk, unconventional, really daring black and white brand to billions of people as the Fed is driving our own banks in a lot of emerging markets insolvent. And so I want to talk a little bit about what's next, because what is not live today, I don't want to be misleading, is all of our on and off ramps. So I want to talk about the fact that because of our license in El Salvador, and because of the favorable regulation that they give us, and I know you guys are familiar with these products we've been launching, our cross-border payments, and we've been building out a lot of ways to actually move fiat currencies on top of Lightning. And I know some people are like, well, if I'm not in the United States, why does it matter to me? But now this feature hits a little bit different, right? Now, with a global app available to 3 billion people, even if someone has a wallet of Satoshi, I could use Lightning Address, send it to my Strike account, and then immediately cash it out in my local market over Lightning. And we do have and are building on and off ramps. So if you want to, well, this was if you want to partner with us on our Send Globally, but my point is the product that we want to build and that we want to deliver, we want to compete with Binance. And I want to be super clear about that. The role that we want to serve in the market and what I told the regulators in El Salvador is this: we don't want this to just be a Lightning wallet. We know that the 3 billion people we're serving, they got their first experience and their first Bitcoin from FTX, from Binance, from a lot of these exchanges that haven't been totally proven to be trustworthy and honest, and haven't totally proven that they have the best interest of hope and the equitable, honest, principled, moral future that we're all fighting for. And so we'll be offering on and off ramps, and we'll be going in as many countries as we possibly can. The 3 billion wasn't made out of any particular decision other than what we're most comfortable with today. And so these, I think you guys are all going to be a little appalled at how fast we're going to be shipping a lot of this stuff. This milestone is huge for us as a company. There's been a lot of pent up for us behind this, and all of this is coming. But I want to make this explicit point too. I took a lot of these screenshots from my Twitter mentions. I want to make the point really quickly that, you know, as a company, we know what we're fighting for. You know, the story that I told over the last 2.5 years, and juxtaposing that against the Fed, against crypto, against banks failing and people being defrauded. We know who we are. We changed the way we looked, but we never changed the way we felt. But we don't know exactly what you guys all need. And we know that launching to 3 billion people is going to be challenging, and I just want you guys to know that we're all listening. So a lot of this stuff on the screen, we were able to get some of it, and we know we're not done. And so be patient with us. Be honest with me. You're never going to hurt my feelings. And I want you guys to know that Strike, for everything that we are, we care. And we're here, and now we're officially global, and I'm so fucking proud of that. So I'm excited to build with you guys.
Bitcoiners, welcome back. We just saw Jack Mallers take Strike global. 300 million people, 3 billion people, 3 billion people. That's 10x countries. More than 300 million people. Y'all, what a huge announcement. I think, you know, the anchor of the announcement is Strike going to El Salvador, leveraging the laws in that country to do that expansion, to go beyond what other money apps have been able to do in terms of global usage. I think that's really riding on the back of Bitcoin more than anything else. Let's start with you, Alan. What did you make of the announcement?
Yeah, so to your point, you know, as Bitcoiners say, it's gradually then suddenly. And as we're seeing, you know, Strike being based out of El Salvador, making this massive announcement of Bitcoin being available to 3 billion more users. And in juxtaposition, we had RFK Jr. saying that we want the U.S. to be an inviting, locating place. It'll be very curious to see what regulators do from going on out.
I mean, this is the sovereign individual thesis, correct? Zuby,
Yeah.
let's go to you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anyone who knows me knows I'm very much a nomad capitalist, and people are going to move to where freedom is. I think as we move forward in time, both cities and countries are going to need to compete for the best people. They're going to need to compete for investment. They're going to need to compete for entrepreneurs. People have been region locked for most of human history, and we're in and moving into a time where that is no longer the case. And I think naturally people are always going to go to where the freedom is, where they can be autonomous, where they're not being repressed in various ways, and that includes financially. So I think this is a massive move. I also think it's a huge move just for the purposes of adoption, because to the layperson, Bitcoin is still something that's complicated. What is it? How do you buy it? How do you use it? And so on. So I think the more that process can be simplified over time, then that's going to massively drive up adoption.
Jump in here, Anthony.
Well, when I hear all this and I see Jack speak, I get incredibly bullish. We've had lots of volatility, but during a bear market, we've seen massive growth and massive building. And so for me, I'm super excited about the future. But I want to ask something to these guys, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
It's 5 years from now. Are we transacting over that Lightning Network? If we are, I believe we are. How are we transacting over that network?
Yeah, well, we have tons of great vendors here just today. I think we've done already, $15,000 worth of transactions here on the show floor. We're exposing a lot of people who haven't maybe been traditionally exposed with using the Lightning Network or just basic Bitcoin transactions, and they're realizing with apps like Strike, right, they're having all these options, whether it's buy and sell with cash or Bitcoin. They're trying to make it easy and accessible for users, first-time users especially.
Yeah, it takes time for people to get used to new things. I mean, I'm 36 years old, but I remember when people were, firstly, I remember when people found the internet itself very weird and didn't understand the purpose of having an email address and whatnot. But I remember when people were terrified to buy things online, period. Right? One of the biggest barriers that Amazon had at the beginning was like, oh, who's going to enter their credit card details on the internet? Who's going to do that? And there's always that initial barrier. So I think that as things get simplified and mainstreamed, there will come a time, and it will happen quickly, where people are just transacting across the Lightning Network without even thinking about it, perhaps without even knowing exactly what they're doing.
So just to pick up quickly on what Zuby is saying is 1998, 25 short years ago, 340 million internet users. Today, 2023, 340 million Bitcoin wallets. So we have 4% saturation again. We are at the beginning. We're at the dawn of this thing. So just imagine as this thing starts to hockey stick over the next 10 years and we go into the next halving cycle.
Something that I think is really fascinating here, right? Obviously, I think that we are at the beginning, and I think that we're going to see this S-curve of adoption explode, and it's just getting easier and easier with things like the Lightning Network. But I do think it's fascinating that you see not only is the Lightning Network bringing Bitcoin and making it more accessible to people across the globe, but it's actually making dollars more accessible. What does that mean for a world that is, living, most countries with really inferior currencies, even compared to the dollar? Let's go with you, Zuby, and then come back towards me to close it out.
Yeah, well, it's huge because people have the optionality, right? If you're stuck in, we have billions of people living in countries where the inflation is crazy, the currency is worthless and becomes more worthless, at a very, very rapid rate, both absolutely, and also in comparison to other countries. So just giving people the option to use dollars, use Bitcoin. We know dollars are not great in comparison to Bitcoin, but dollars are great in comparison to most currencies that are out there in the world. So I think that's massive. If people want to genuinely, we talk a lot about, people in the West virtue signal a lot about wanting to help people over there and I think a lot of people genuinely do. But when the money is so broken and people don't have optionality, it's extraordinarily difficult to do because whatever you send over, it just gets taken by corrupt governments or it just gets wasted and squandered and whatnot. So I think giving people that power and that optionality in the long term is going to be massive for both their wealth building and their freedom.
Anthony, Ellen, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to rug you. I'm getting the call that we need to wrap up this session. Y'all, what an incredible announcement. Again, Strike going global. What a great way to close out the show. We are going to go to a quick commercial break and then come back with the folks from Marathon to close it out here at Bitcoin 2023